I will take you on my breathtaking hike on a mountain here in Austria at the eastern side of the Alps. But this is not a usual hiking video. Being in nature is a spiritual experience for me. I get into a deep flow and in mystical states, which is not bound to a certain religion or a specific teaching. Moving our body in nature connects us with our essence. In this video, I will talk about flow states, mystical states, spiritual states while being in nature, connecting with soul space, and it will be about our natural spirituality. Maybe there is a connection to pagan spirituality, but you don't need a certain system. It's all inside us. Let's go. My hike starts early in the morning with a 1-hour drive. It's July, the weather is perfect, and I'm excited to go. I drive to the starting point, where I meet my friend. We will do this together, a full day hike, more than 800 meters up and down again. Our hike starts with an enchanting forest path, and we enjoy the cooling shade. I love being in the forest. It feels like the home of my soul. The trees are my friends. I talk with them, and sometimes I ask them for help. While taking one step after another, we find our rhythm. My friend is a witch. She follows a pagan path. And on our hike, she explores the wildflowers and herbs. Meanwhile, I am filming and getting in my creative flow. While we take a break, a butterfly starts joining us, and we talk about spirit animals. The butterfly stands for transformation with ease, which we are both experiencing in this phase of our life. As we go further up the mountain, the scenery changes. The forest with its big trees gradually disappears, and mountain pine line up our path. At this point, we've been walking for more than 2 hours. I start being in a flow state while walking. It just happens with ease. So let's talk about embodiment and flow. Embodiment is a big word nowadays in some spiritual scenes. And some people think that embodiment, it necessarily includes some complicated methods. You have to get in contact with deep trauma, or you have to submit to group dynamics and to some hurtful experiences, or you have to meditate in an uncomfortable position or something like that. But embodiment, it really is something deeply natural. It can be easy. It's not so much learning something, it's remembering. It's reconnecting with the natural instinctual functions of your body, and to be in contact with your body, to be in contact with your inner world, with your inner sensations and with your natural intuition. It's really this, and it doesn't have to be difficult. And well, of course, it depends on the person. For some people, it's more difficult because their inner mental space consists very much of concepts and language. And usually for those people, it's more difficult. If your inner world consists of pictures, visions, sensing, intuition, bodily perceptions, then this might be easy for you and it might be your natural state. Moving my body, doing sports, being in nature, this is a very natural way of connecting with my spirituality. As we get higher and higher up the mountain, a gorgeous view over the landscape opens up. The element air becomes prominent, which stands for openness, flexibility, freedom, and a holistic view. We take a break and I start flying my drone, while my friend is preoccupied with herbs. I deeply connect with the element air, being playful and open. I receive a vision of being an eagle, flying over the mountain scenery, checking out my territory and having a clear sight on things. And then my body wants to dance. As we move on, we approach the most difficult part of our hike. Our path is getting rocky and steep. We will have to climb, and a ladder will show up. I really like those climbing acts. I am a sensation seeker, and this gives me a feeling of adventure. Pumped up with adrenaline, being in a hiker's flow, I decided to fly my drone again, while we continue our path. A beautiful and breathtaking view opens up. This reminds me of the hikes I did with my family when I was a child. And suddenly, a warm feeling of thankfulness runs through my body. I feel thankful that my parents gave me this opportunity to become familiar with high mountain hiking at such a young age. It's a privilege. When you learn something as a child, it's like becoming part of your DNA. It feels normal, and you do it with sovereignty. And then we reach the high plateau of the Mountain Rax. So let's talk about flow states, trance states, and mystical states. And here it's also the case. Some people think it must be hard, it must take many years of training or of following a certain religion to get into those trance states, flow states, and mystical states. Or it's only, holy people from the medieval ages who experienced mystical states, and nowadays it's not even possible anymore. I myself used to think this way because society tells us that it's something rare, and you have to be a holy person like Hildegard von Bingen or Meister Eckhart or Rumi or some big name. And only those people, they experienced mystical states, and we normal people from nowadays, we can only experience the banal world and nothing else. And our spirituality, it has to be bound on a tradition, or it has to be a very difficult awakening process or something like this. But this is not true. This is not true. Abraham Maslow, he was a psychologist. He wrote a book about mysticism, and he explained mysticism from a psychological point of view. And he described that being in a mystical state is a natural way of being for us humans. Everybody can be a mystic. Everybody can be a mystic, and most likely you already had mystical experiences in your life, trance experiences, flow experiences, and you don't even know that those are mystical experiences. There are natural ways of getting into a flow state, getting into trance, getting into a mystical experience, and one of those ways is climbing a mountain, doing sports, being in nature, moving your body, being one with your movement, being one with nature. Through movement, especially in nature, we can connect with our unique essence. We can connect with soul space. We can connect with the transcendent. And we can experience something deeply meaningful. Finally, we reach the mountain lodge and have a nice long break. On our walk back down the mountain, my friend, the witch, and I, the mystic, talk about all the spiritual experiences we had in our lives. One thing we know for sure: being spiritual is something natural. We are born with it. But in our modern and postmodern society, we often don't have language for spiritual states. In the late afternoon, our hike comes to its end. We take our time to finish the path. This hike was an experience full of beauty, magic, and joy. We will do it again, another day on another mountain. For a long time, I didn't even know that this is a spiritual state. I just experienced it. And later in my life, during my spiritual journey of learning, reading about spirituality and having group experiences, I learned more about my own spirituality. I learned the terms and the language and the narratives, how to describe my own spiritual states, which I already had by nature. And the big problem we have nowadays in our modern and postmodern world is that we often don't have language. We don't have narratives and language for spiritual experiences. We only know the narratives from big religions, or we know the narratives from science, but we don't have words describing our inner states, describing our natural spiritual experiences. When you don't have language for something, if you don't have common words for something, you often don't realize on a conscious level that you have spiritual experiences. You have those experiences, you still can get into trance state, but you think that this is something trivial, and you don't connect it with this magical and enchanting meaning. And if something doesn't have meaning for you, you cannot communicate it to other people, and we as a society cannot recognize the importance of those individual spiritual experiences. We are speechless. And this is sad. It's sad, and it's not empowering when you're speechless about important inner processes, important inner spiritual processes. So it's very important for us nowadays in our society that there are people who describe their inner spiritual experiences and who use words for it, which are not connected to a certain religion, which is not connected only to science, but which describes those experiences in neutral words or in a language which is understandable for many people of another religion or people who have no religion. I think this will be more and more important, and we are entering a new era. We are entering the era of meta-modernism, where we can combine religion, science, and individual experiences on a holistic level, in a holistic way. And we can talk about things in a completely new way, and in a way which is fulfilling for many people. It's about consciousness. It's about getting more and more conscious about your inner processes, about your inner world, about your experiences in nature, and about all kinds of spiritual experiences people can have. At the end of my videos, I usually talk about the symbol. And in this video, I have two symbols. One symbol is this rune. It's the rune Aivas. Rune Aivas. The rune Aivas symbolizes our connection with the transcendent, the other world, soul space, God, however you want to call this state of consciousness, the connection with our essence, the connection with our higher self, the connection with deeper meaning, being in a mystical state, being in a flow state. So this rune symbolizes all those things, those magic and enchanted moments in life, being in contact with your subconscious, with your inner depth, with your inner pictures, visions. This rune leads us into depth, into something meaningful, into something of importance, something which is important for our soul. Yeah, so the second symbol of this video is a tarot card. It's called the Devil, and it's the most misinterpreted tarot card in the whole deck, I think. Because in some religions, devil is perceived as something evil. But on this card, on this tarot card, you see a Capricorn. It's an animal, the animal Capricorn. And this symbolizes the pagan god Pan, who is connected with nature, who is deeply connected with nature and fertility. And the Capricorn, it also symbolizes climbing on mountains. Capricorns, they are mountain animals, and they live in the mountains, and they can climb very steep mountains. I've seen them several times by myself. This card wants to tell us that our natural spiritual states, they are not connected with societal norms. They exist within us in a natural way. This doesn't mean that, you should be an evil person now and that you forget about good and bad and that you should harm other people. No, it means vitality, sensuality, humor, individuality. So this card stands for our individual spiritual approach, and this is not something bad. This is not something of the devil, you know. It's something good. You can be an individual person with your own individual spirituality and at the same time feel one and be one with everything, be one with other people, connect with other people, connect with the universe, and follow your heart, follow God, follow your soul path. But you do it on a conscious level. You're not unconsciously, blindly following something. A preacher, a religion, a guru, a coach. You're conscious about it, and you're conscious about your individual spirituality. Yeah, and you see here a third eye painted on the card. And with this third eye, this symbolizes that you are in contact with your own inner vision. You are able to be in contact with the transcendent by yourself. You have your own inner vision. You have your own inner spiritual guidance. This is a deeply mystical card which symbolizes your own vital connection with the transcendent. And this can be in nature while you are hiking a mountain like a Capricorn. Thank you for listening.